Well, as we've been discussing, the hostilities in Israel continue following Hamas's invasion of Israel, with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declaring yesterday that Israel, while they did not start this war, they will finish it. So here at home, a resolution of support for Israel has been drafted in the House, but it cannot move forward until there is a speaker. And as of today, it does not appear that the leading candidates for the speakership, Louisiana Congressman Steve Scalise, Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan, neither one appear to have marshaled the necessary support to win the election outright. Still, House Republicans head into a GOP conference meeting this evening and remain optimistic for a vote this week. So with chaos now threatening the Middle East, Ukraine, and even our own southern border, it is essential that House Republicans reach consensus. Is it going to happen? Joining me now to discuss this and much more, Congressman Andy Barr. He serves on the House Foreign Affairs Committee, the House Financial Services Committee, and the Republican Study Committee Steering Committee. He represents the 6th Congressional District of Kentucky. Congressman Barr, welcome to Washington Watch. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Tony, and thank you for those prayers for our leaders and for discernment, and of course for the people of Israel.
Yeah, I want to start with, let's start with Israel. Just I want to get your thoughts on this. You're on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. This is quite shocking, frankly. I've worked with Israelis in the past, and back when I used to do anti-terrorism in the late 80s and early 90s. They have some of the best intel in the world, but it appears they were caught off guard.
That's certainly an area of oversight as we look at the after action here. Congress needs to look at why the intelligence community was caught off guard. We do know now that Hamas and Hezbollah and some of these other terror proxy groups have been working actively with the Iranians and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the Quds Force, for some time in preparation for this unprovoked act of aggression, really a barbaric massacre of innocent civilians. We are now getting reports from southern Israel near Gaza, where the invasion initially took place. Just the brutality is just unprecedented, where we have now reports of children and even babies decapitated, elderly taken hostage, just the massacre of innocent women, children, and civilians who are non-combatants. Over 150 individuals now taken hostage by these terrorist invaders. And then we also are seeing continued rocket attacks into southern and central Israel. Of course, we don't want an escalation into a wider war. We do think that there are threats in the north from Hezbollah into Israel. But absolutely, the United States must stand by our ally, the beacon of freedom in that region, and defend Israel's right to defend itself. And this is going to be a difficult process, but we must stand by Israel as they defend their sovereignty, as they defend their people against this barbaric attack.
Yesterday, Prime Minister Netanyahu described them as ISIS. And when you look at what they have perpetrated upon these innocent civilians, it looks exactly like what ISIS did to their victims. I mean, this is, it's indescribable, the brutality that we see here.
Absolutely. And one thing that I think also Congress needs to investigate is the policy choices that have been made that have invited this aggression. Look, ultimately, it's the terrorists themselves who are responsible and need to be held to account. And that's why we must defend Israel's right to defend itself and the military operations that are going on now and that are forthcoming. But it does also underscore the fact that weakness invites aggression.
Yeah.
And groveling with the mullahs in Tehran and trying to get an Iran nuclear deal and sanctions relief that helps finance this kind of terrorist activity. This is the wrong policy. And so we've got a lot of questions for Secretary of State Blinken, for the Biden administration, for the policies that they have pursued, the policies of abandoning maximum pressure, which was preventing Iran from financing these kinds of terrorist activities. We want to know why these policies have been pursued and certainly the extent to which they have clearly failed.
So, Congressman Barr, let me go back to the present situation there in Gaza with Israel. And you said we have to stand with Israel. Agree with you 100%. But we see that the international community will only go so far in allowing Israel to determine their own future and protect themselves. In the past, there's always been this international push for appeasement, with the United States going along with that in most cases. This is a different situation.
Yeah, this attack, which of course comes on the 50th anniversary of the 1973 Yom Kippur War, the invasion of Israel, is a moment in time where it's a time for choosing, as Ronald Reagan once said. We have to choose the side of democracy and freedom and humanity and civilization against barbarism, terrorism, and brutality. And we should call on the nations of the world at the United Nations and other international fora to stand with Israel, to stand with the United States, because as these terrorists have invaded the sovereign territory of Israel, they have chanted not only death to Israel, but death to America.
Right.
And we should call on our allies, our partners around the world to stand with Israel and stand against this kind of terrorism.
Congressman Barr, 20 seconds left, but are you optimistic that we may have a House Speaker by the end of the week?
I am optimistic. We are blessed with two wonderful, trusted conservative leaders in Jim Jordan and Steve Scalise. I've announced my endorsement for Steve Scalise, mainly because he is a uniter and a fighter. We know that from his surviving that gunshot wound and for being an advocate for members. But, you know, Jim is a great fighter as well. What I like about Steve Scalise is he said that if Jim Jordan gets the majority vote, he's going to support Jim Jordan.